I'm Ed Stetzer. I'm here with Mark Edworthy. Mark is the interim regional leader for Central and Eastern Europe, and we've been here for the last few days, brought some pastors over from the States, talking about how to engage in God's global mission here through doing evangelism and church planting in Eastern Europe. We've been in Krakow. Of course, that's where your headquarters, where you are. Tell a little bit, Mark, tell them about what is the spiritual condition and openness of people to the gospel here in Central Eastern Europe.
Sure, it's a paradox because it's such a small percentage that know the Lord, and yet there is an interest, there is an openness to talk, and that's always the first step.
Yeah, good. Do you, one of the things I've noticed here, and you mentioned it several times, is that this is one of the few places in the world that seems that they like Americans, and so it's an opportunity for witness that's there. Why is that, and how does that open the door for the gospel?
It is funny, everybody says they've got an uncle in Chicago, so there's the connection with the States. Surveys are more positive here than on the streets of America.
About America, they're more positive here? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So they love our politicians generally more than we do. Yeah. And that gives us that first entree. And it's fascinating because when they hear I'm an evangelical, it's almost like, that's okay, you're an American. Whereas my Polish evangelical buddy will be rejected immediately.
Because he's not Catholic.
Exactly.
Now how do you use American teams or pastors and churches? How can they be a tool to advance the gospel with communicating, because of the openness to Americans?
Sure, and we use that in so many ways. They come, they sing concerts, they coach football, they teach children. Almost any way you can think in the States, you multiply that by 10, and we can find a way to plug in.
That's amazing, because you don't see that everywhere. Who can come and help? There's a lot of talk about who can work in this partnership and who can't, but if they want to come over and plant churches in kind of the calling that you guys have, I mean, who can come be a part of it?
Sure, the tent is wide. Okay. We will welcome anyone with a common vision, seeing people come to faith and planting churches.
Okay, cool. So we can get folks involved in different levels. Folks can come, they can go be involved in short-term projects, but also too, one of the things we've heard from many of the missionaries is the desire, we need more missionaries to come.
Sure.
And some of those missionaries can be appointed. And tell us briefly what that would look like, and then second, tell us what it might look like if churches say, I want to be directly involved. We just want to send some people over to work in Budapest or something like that.
Sure, we have so many opportunities and levels from 2 months in the summer to 2 years to a career vocational choice. We can plug you in all of those. 2 weeks, we've got college students coming, we've got retirees coming. Again, some people feel I don't have a skill. Man, if you teach English, if you got a heart for the Lord, we've got a place for you.
That's good. How many missionaries are there in your region, and right now, how many countries would that be?
Sure, Central and Eastern Europe, about 450 personnel in about 30 countries.
Wow, that's a lot of field.
It comes to a ratio about 1 to a million.
Amazing, amazing. And what percent evangelical in the region as a whole that we're talking about? Not just our denomination, but what about evangelicals?
Sure, evangelical statistics usually say less than 2%.
Wow, less than 2%. No place in the United States has a lower percentage as a state or as a region than any place here in Central and Eastern Europe.
Yeah, Poland, where we're visiting today, 0.2% evangelical.
Amazing. We've talked a lot with some of these church planter missionaries that we've had here about perhaps how sometimes some of those from the kind of the emerging missional, some of the biblically faithful emerging missional churches in the States, that they would be a good connection here. Why do you think that might be the case for them to be involved in church planting here if they've planted there?
Well, there's already a connection because many of them are working with postmodern folks in cities, urban centers. That's what we have here. Yeah. Many times we have to unlearn some of the traditional outreaches and settings from which we come to learn to reach the current setting in which we're trying to go.
Excellent. So there's a connection, a bridge that can be there, and those would be a good... I've noticed that some of the pastors we brought have connected really well with some of the church planters and missionaries that are here. So these guys come, the missionaries you work with, the men and women that are here, their focus is evangelism and church planting. Is it hard in Central and Eastern Europe to plant churches? Is that a year's process?
It is extremely hard. Okay. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Probably 1 in 10 churches that, quote, begin actually make it. And so it's a graveyard for church planters, but I want to be positive.
Yeah,
the Lord is doing amazing things.
Let's not end on that note.
Exactly. When we came here, we were told 3 things never would happen.
Yeah.
There'd never be a city with 2 Baptist churches. There'd never be a church in a rented building. There'd never be a church started by a foreigner. Yeah. And when we constituted Second Baptist Warsaw in 1994, all of those broke, and it's like the Lord is catching up in the lives of people. And now, I don't want to say exploding, but the churches have doubled in Poland in the last 20
It's
years.
amazing. Now, when Second Baptist is where I attended on Sunday, right?
Well, the Second Baptist Warsaw.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Warsaw. Because we here at Second Baptist in Krakow.
Right, and it started in the last 10
Which
years.
was what was interesting to me is that I've been in some churches that are Russian churches that are traditional, and we thank God for traditional churches.
Sure.
But the church I attended on Sunday was could have been my church back home. It was very contemporary. Guy on a guitar. Matter of fact, the guy on a guitar and overhead. I felt like I was at the church I planted 15 years ago. And so what are the churches? Do they have different expressions here?
Sure. Yeah, the First Baptist Church here would be more traditional in a purchased building. This was in a rental.
Yeah.
Exciting history there too, because a young couple that we mentored 17 years ago and a student that I taught at the seminary in Warsaw came together to start that church 10 years ago.
That's cool. The website I know is in the process of being updated, but it's going to be the same URL. It's Hope for
CEE.
Hope for CEE, Central and Eastern Europe.
Exactly.
HopeForCEE.org, and then you find out more information about.
Sure.
Well, I've seen on there's a request for more SCs, strategy coordinators, which missionaries, to coordinate strategy in cities. There's all kinds of information about connecting and partnering. Anything you'd want to say as maybe some pastors are watching here today?
Sure. The Great Commission is bigger than all of us, and we would love for you to come. Connect for a week, connect for a year. We want people to see the long term. You're planting churches in the States. Why don't you see this as an extension of that?
That's good.
And come join us in Europe.
Good deal. Come over here and help us.
That's right.
Wasn't that a
I
European
think that's
call?
an act somewhere.
Yeah, I think it was Europe too.
That's
so,
right.
Mark, thank you so much. Thank you for hosting us and being so gracious. And we look forward to hopefully seeing others, maybe some of you, to come and to partner with the planting of churches in Central and Eastern Europe.